Well, the parliamentary budget officer expects a sharp increase in Ottawa's annual deficit when the Carney government releases its fall budget. CTV's Kamil Karamali joins us live with the numbers. How much is Canada's deficit set to increase by, and what's factoring into this increased spending?
Yeah, that's right, Jamie. So when the Liberals will unveil their fall budget on November 4th, it's expected to show a $17 billion increase in the deficit, jumping up from roughly $51.7 billion last year, now to $68.5 billion for this fall's budget. So showing once again roughly $17 billion increase. It's a sharp rise from what the Carney government had promised back in April when they said there would be a budget deficit increase, but they were predicting it to be just over $62 billion. Well, you see the number on the left of your screen here. That is off by about $6 billion, now more than anticipated. This is, for context, also higher than 8 of the last 10 deficits the Trudeau government ran. Their spending mostly exceeding during the pandemic years. So just giving you a little bit of context as to how much a $17 billion increase in the deficit fares against previous years. Now, you asked the question, what's factored into this deficit? Why the increase? Well, this year's deficit includes a chunk of the over $100 billion in new net spending over the next 5 years that was promised by the Liberal government since last year's fiscal update, and much of it going to Canada's industries to make them more sustainable without the United States help. We know, and the PBO has confirmed, that the economy weakened by Canada's trade war with the U.S., dragging down Ottawa's tax revenue, and really now it was warned by the Carney government earlier this year that there would need to be increased spending, Jamie, to try and make Canada more self-sufficient without the U.S.'s help.
This would make it pretty much 10 years in a row that the federal government has not been able to balance the budget. What's been the reaction so far?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the opposition and Pierre Poilievre, even earlier this month, accusing the Liberal government of running deficits that fuel inflation, tying the spending to inflation. And we've also heard from economists who are saying quite the opposite, that, look, especially with the trade war, Canada's hands are tied, that we are forced to invest in our own economy, in our own industry, and that will eventually pay off, although that will be years down the road. What the Carney government has also done is decrease spending, though, in the public sector. And economists say, look, that is actually the wrong move. We should be even increasing spending even further. Have a listen to what one economist had to say.
That when the private sector starts pulling back, you need the public sector to step up. You need it to create effective demand to keep the economy going. And that will actually help the private sector as well by creating demand for its products. So the right kinds of investments will not only give us more housing infrastructure, more healthcare infrastructure, it will also increase economic activity.
And that $68.5 billion deficit could even go up by further, Jamie, because what isn't factored in this deficit is the increased NATO spending promised by the Carney government. So could go up even more. Back over to you.
That's CTV's Kamil Karamali. Thanks for those updates.
You're welcome, Jamie.